오늘은 호스텔에서 있는 프리워킹 투어에 참여하게 됐어. 뭐 영어로 설명하겠지만 영어 듣기 평가 또 시작해야겠지. 다는 못 알아들어도 그래도 조금 설명을 해주면 도움이 될 것 같아서 신청하게 됐습니다. 날씨 오늘도 좋네요. 오케이. 마티는 스페인에서 왔고 키가 저랑 비슷한 것 같아요. 어디까지 가는 거야? 데니시인데 스페니쉬로 잘못 착각해가지고 여기 사람이네요. 덴마크 사람. 마티니. 역시 북유럽 사람들 다 커. 오늘도 한 3만 보 걸어야겠네.
I'm going to take a walking through town. Just a little bit closer. You can hear me, and I can lower my voice. Thank you. I'm going to take you walking through town. We're going to go that general direction. This 11 o'clock tour goes that direction, and the 2:30 in the afternoon tour goes that direction. We're going to tourist attraction, more disappointing than the Little Mermaid. The little guy that pees into a fountain.
Yeah.
That's it. You?
Italy.
Italy. Yeah. Cool. What does people usually tell about Italians when you go around the world? Something about pizza, pasta,
Or mafia, or
mafia.
Mafia.
Pizza, pasta, and mafia. That's your image. Hey, it's better than the Little Mermaid. And you are from South Korea?
Yeah, South Korea.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were allowed to leave and everything?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you're blogging?
Yeah, yeah. Hi.
Hello, South Korea. And you?
Germany.
Germany. And you as well?
Germany as well.
Yeah. How many German people here? Two?
Surprising.
Our biggest neighboring country, and you are the representative. Have you noticed how German people, they look so happy these days? For the first time in history, German people look happy. Have you noticed?
No.
You know why? Because for the first time in history, Germany is on the right side of the conflict.
Now you got 5 stars.
England will come to Europe. Any more people from England? There as well. And you? England as well. Are you family? And you guys?
We're from Mexico City, but we live in the States.
Mexico City, but you live in the States. Do you want me to offend Mexico or do you want me
Both.
to... But you, in Mexico, do you say mañana, mañana?
Yeah.
And you have that saying, sort of
Mañana.
always being late.
Yeah.
So I don't have any jokes about Mexico because you're always late for the intro anyway.
And we were on time.
Were you?
We were very early.
Well done. Oh, but that's the American side then.
Yeah.
And you?
Brazil.
Brazil, that's lovely. What can I say about Brazil? I'm empty on Brazil.
Samba.
Some.
Caipirinha. Caipirinha, is that Brazilian?
Yes.
I had a lot of lots of caipirinhas in Mexico. But I never went to Brazil. I have a friend who moved to Brazil. Bahia.
Bahia.
Yeah. Is that a lovely area?
Yes, beautiful beach.
He has a cocoa plantation there.
Really?
Yeah. That's quite cool. I want to go visit him.
Nice.
But I don't have any bad jokes. But maybe when we walk to the next place, you could tell me some of the bad jokes about Brazil that I can use on my next tour.
Okay.
Are you?
Belgium as well.
Belgium as well. However you offended you. Australia. Are you here to see Mary?
Hope so.
You know Mary?
Yeah, of course.
The other day I had an Aussie on the tour who didn't know Mary.
Really?
Mary is the Crown Prince of Denmark, but she's from Australia.
Oh,
She's
really?
quite big there. She's quite big there. Yeah. It was so funny. A while ago I had a Brazilian couple on the tour, and they were like 80 years old. They were so slow. We waited for them on every stop, right? Just walking so slow all the way through. And then when we get to the castle, Mary, she arrives in a car. They start running. Yeah. And they make it just in time to take a picture of Mary getting out of the car before the gates close, right? The woman, she outran the husband. She took that picture hanging in open air. And after that, they refused to move on. They said it was because they wanted another glimpse of Mary. I'm sure it's because they couldn't walk anymore. Singapore. What can you That's both a city and a country, right?
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference between Singapore and Hong Kong?
No idea.
I guess it's not Chinese. That's the difference. I've been to Hong Kong. That's why. So maybe it's the same. I don't know. I have a picture that it might be the same. Probably not anymore now that it's more Chinese. And you guys are from England as well.
London, yeah.
Did you remember your visa and your passport?
Yes.
And you ladies?
Spain.
Spain, my name is.
Yeah. I'm always late. So
We get it from them. We get it from there. There you go.
Yeah, we are the origins of the love.
And you guys are from France?
Yes.
I heard a joke about France. I heard it from a French guy from Chile. He said when they created France, they said the country was so beautiful it wasn't fair to the other countries. So, in order to even out the balance, they created the French people.
Wow.
Welcome to Denmark, all of you. It's so good to have you here. This church behind me is the church I want to tell you about. It's a Protestant church, not a Catholic one. You know how you can tell? No. It's because there's a children's playground over there. You've never put a children's playground that close to a Catholic church. Okay, that was a line I just stepped over.
Oh my god.
The church here is one of the three oldest churches in Copenhagen. It was finished in 1228. I want to give you a little bit of information about Copenhagen. In 1728, Copenhagen had what is known as the first great fire. It started on the western side, blowing with the western wind and burned down the exact western half of Copenhagen. And in 1795, we had the second great fire, started on the eastern side, blowing with eastern wind and burned down the exact eastern half of Copenhagen, the exact opposite half. So very, very few buildings are still standing in this area that wasn't burned down by those fires. And this one also burned down in 1795 in the second great fire, and the tower collapsed in that big fire. After they managed to rebuild the tower, they made it the fireman watchtower to look out for all the fires that started all the time, clever people. And they also made a rule that nothing can be built that's taller than that tower, because if it's taller you can't see what's behind. And let's face it, what's behind is most probably on fire. But that also started a tradition of not building tall buildings in Copenhagen. That's one of the reasons why we don't have like a skyline, and we don't have a lot of tall buildings. For many, many years it was legal to build higher than 5 stories in Copenhagen. So that gives sort of a special sort of trait to Copenhagen that people they notice when they go and have a view of the city. Since it was rebuilt, there hasn't been an active church, and that way it's the exact same as all other churches in Denmark. They're not active. We have thousands of them. We have thousands of little town churches around the country, and they're all very well kept because people they pay church tax to them. More than 60% pay church tax in Denmark, but all we use them for our weddings and funerals. But that's still worth paying church tax to most people. So we're not a very active people in terms of practicing religion. This one is nowadays used as a contemporary art museum. Don't go there. It's terrible. If you want to see contemporary art, the most famous place to do that around Copenhagen is up north of Copenhagen. There's a place called Louisiana. A beautiful building with a view of the water, and you can see Sweden on the other side, but just focus on the water. But the building was donated to become a museum by a guy, and when he died, after he died, and in his life he had 3 wives. He was married 3 times. The first wife was named Louise, the second wife was named Louise, and the third wife was named Louise. He had a type, right? So they decided to name it Louise after any one of his 3 wives. But if you want to go visit and you're here long enough to do a day trip, you can do a day trip out of town, stop in Louisiana, and then continue all the way to Elsinore, further up north, where you have the castle of Kronborg that inspired Shakespeare to write Hamlet. Yeah. If you want to see contemporary art in town, but you don't want to go that far away, there's a place called Carlsberg Glyptotek. It was donated by the Carlsberg Foundation, and it's close by the City Hall. And that's a beautiful contemporary art museum with really, really nice art. And they have indoor palm trees and an indoor fountain as well. So it's quite a nice place to visit. Around 130 to get in. If you want to hear more about that, you can join our afternoon tour as well. You can hear more about Carlsberg and the Carlsberg Foundation there as well. All right, I think that was all for this stuff. We're going to go, so next up we're going to hear about Hans Christian Andersen, and we're going to educate you.
Let's go.
This building right here is a shopping mall, like a simple north. It's a fantastic place to go if you want to feel really poor. Because things are quite expensive in there. It has herring? Herring, yeah. The fish fish, the pickled herring.
Smell.
Yeah. The open face sandwich. The open face sandwich called smørbrød in Danish. Yeah, very good.
Fried things like with like meatballs, but like flat meatballs.
Flat meatballs. Okay. Tuborg is the same. For instance, over there you have 3 pieces of smorgasbord and a bottle of Tuborg. That's a good financial reason to get that for 89 kroner. Otherwise, buy some of the good beer that you can get in Denmark. There's a lot of craft beer here. And if you want to buy some of the one of the mainstream beers, buy a Tuborg Classic. Tuborg Classic is a very good beer, in my opinion, and also very popular. And it's a little bit more than just that average pilsner. The most famous craft beer is called Ale Number 16. It's got a blue label, and that's very good, and everybody loves it as well. So try that Ale Number 16 or Tuborg Classic if you want to buy.
I have a Korean name.
Ah, you have a Korean name. What's your name?
Minsu.
Minsu. Hi, Minsu.
Thank you.
My name is Joe.
Joe.
Yeah, Joseph. Joseph.
Joseph.
Yeah.
And Korean name.
Yeah, Korean name is Joseph.
Ah, Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph means Joseph. Joseph is Joe.
But I never heard it in Korean. Really?
Yeah, Joseph. What's your name?
Ah, my real name is Mateus.
Mateus?
Yeah.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Like Matthew. No, the Bible name.
yeah. Matthew.
Matthew.
Yeah.
Have you met another Korean too?
No, not
No?
really. I am in Iceland.
In Iceland.
Yeah. But here, no. No
No.
Korean. I never seen the Korean.
I was in Eastern Europe, you know, Slovakia,
Slovakia.
Poland.
Yeah.
I saw many Korean.
Czech. Yeah.
I saw many Koreans.
Yeah, but northern part, no.
Huh? Not from
Northern
Party.
Europe, yeah. No. How long you stay here?
In Copenhagen to Friday.
Friday, until Friday. Same.
Same Friday.
Yeah. Friday I will go to Oslo.
Oslo.
Yeah.
I want to go, but so far from here. And I came by bus
Okay.
from Germany. But 12 hours bus.
Yeah. I will go to the Stockholm next.
Stockholm.
Yeah. And then Helsinki.
Perfect tour.
Yeah.
I want to do this tour someday.
Yeah. And then Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania.
Oh, she's Korean?
Yeah.
I think she's Korean.
Down right here.
This lady here, I think it's Korean.
How do you know
Seems
that?
right. I can't recognize.
Yeah.
Come closer so you can hear me.
Here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The clothes, they're Korean.
On the other side of the canal, you just have houses.
Okay,
the canal
엄청
used to
크다.
extend all the way into the square, and this used to be a market
That's
square.
big though.
And this used to be the main harbor of Copenhagen, and all the boats that came in, they would unload onto the market square, and they'd sell their goods out there. Eventually the ships grew bigger and they couldn't fit into the canal anymore, and they had to build another harbor somewhere else north of Copenhagen. And that's when they shortened the canal to make it a nice and even square out there. What does sailors want to do when they come in at night? And whenever they needed a stopover, for instance, for the night, they would stop over in this area, and that's how Copenhagen started, as a stopover between the major trading points. Eventually they started trading here as well, and that's when it started turning into a town of its own. It's so funny with the Vikings, because we Danes, we are so proud of the Vikings. We go to football games, we put on Viking helmets. We're going to see them later on, no worries. We put on Viking helmets to watch football games. Yeah, with the Vikings. For like hundreds of years, the Vikings would kidnap and steal and rape and kill. We're so proud of them. There we go. Now it's picture time. In 3 minutes, when they're done, you come back here and I'll tell you more. Is that a deal? if you can guess his name, but before I do that, I'm going to give you some info. In the 1440s, we had a king, his name was Valdemar, not Voldemort, Valdemar. And he died and left no children. So we had to find a distant cousin of his in Germany and make him the king. Can you imagine that job interview? But anyways, he, surprisingly enough, he wanted to be the king of Denmark, yes please. And he was the king, and then he had a son, he named him Hans, and his name was Christian. Sorry, I thought I gave you.